96.5 KLH. Dave, Doreen, and Gino. It's our honor, our pleasure to host the Miracle Marathon benefiting Children's Wisconsin. Introducing to you right now, Jadyn Gasper. Jadyn, I hope you don't mind. It says you're 19. I'm allowed to say your age because 19 is a very good age.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. You're from what part of Wisconsin?
I'm from Appleton, Wisconsin, so about 30 minutes south of Green Bay.
Okay. So you know the road right to Children's. From the time you were a little baby, you've been going to Children's Wisconsin.
Oh, yes. I've been going to Milwaukee Children's since I was 6 months old. And before that, I went to Madison Children's. So I've been at Children's my whole life.
and why at 6 months old?
So I have cystic fibrosis, which is a genetic condition that deals with the lungs and digestive system. And I also have other conditions that developed throughout my lifetime. So I've been in and out of the hospital a lot. My freshman year of high school, I actually ended up getting muscle spasms in my neck that created migraines. And so I also go to pain clinic at Children's on top of pulmonary for my CF.
Well, I want to tell you something. As somebody who sometimes gets migraines, I know how debilitating they can be, let alone having to deal with everything else that you're dealing with. Now, how's the CF at this point?
It's actually very good. I'm on a new medication that came out about a year and a half ago now, and it's kind of revolutionary. It helps tremendously, and I've actually been able to get off some of my medications.
That's
Congratulations.
awesome, yeah.
That's really cool. See, and that's part of what we do the marathon for, and some of the money that is raised during the Radiothon goes to research and to develop new drugs like what you were talking about for cystic fibrosis.
Well, and make note that we said you were 19 and you're still being treated, because once you've been treated at Children's, your care still can continue there, right? And so they found a way to help you. Maybe what was it that they were going to use to help you treat the migraine pain?
So initially I was just on a lot of pain medications, and then I ended up getting this new doctor at pain clinic. And she suggested a couple different options. She suggested Botox, and then she also suggested acupuncture. Now, I chose to go with the Botox because it's every 3 months rather than acupuncture is every week. And still being in high school and living 2.5 hours away wasn't quite ideal. And so I chose to go with the every 3 months route, and I'm still getting Botox injections even now. And it's really helpful. I don't have a lot of breakthroughs. When I was first treated, I had a migraine for over a straight 6 months. And I couldn't go to school. I couldn't leave my room. My worst nightmare was the vacuum cleaner. It came on and it was game over. I was curled up in a ball.
Can you tell people about Botox? Because obviously we know of it from Hollywood stars who do things, but this has nothing to do with that with you.
Yeah. So Botox, it always has a cosmetic underlying, but it's not actually its use. Its huge use is actually medical. So for me, what it does is I get injections on my face, on the sides, on my neck, and my upper back. And what it does is it weakens the muscle a little bit so it does not spasm. Now, people that get it for cosmetic purposes tend to put a little too much than the recommended dose, which is one of the reasons why it has such a negative connotation. But its true underlying purpose is actually medical.
Jadyn, going to college during COVID and then with everything you're dealing with, how did that work out? I mean, you ended up, I assume, back home finishing out the year there.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. Last year in the spring, when everyone got sent home, my college was one of the last colleges in the nation to actually send people home. So it was really nerve-wracking. Suddenly they said that we're going to just stay on campus. We'll try not to go out as much and so on. And then a day later, we got an email saying, "Oh yeah, everyone's going home. Bye. We'll see you later."
But
And
when
then
somebody like you, though, you've got such you've got these medical conditions that you have to deal with.
Mhm.
How does that impact? Like, how did COVID and that whole scenario impact your healthcare?
so COVID for me impacted it a lot. Like for my cystic fibrosis, I'm immunocompromised. It was really concerning because it targeted all of my weak points. COVID targets the lungs. It wreaks havoc on the immune system.
Mhm.
So I was kind of fearful. I didn't go out a lot and I limited my exposure to everyone and anything. And it didn't help that my parents were and grandparents were still going to work daily because they were essential workers. So they were still going to work and bringing stuff back. And so it was a little concerning. And then I also, because of COVID, they shut down some of the clinics in children's that weren't necessarily essential. And I wasn't able to even go in to get my Botox injections. So I had to finish up my freshman year of college without my injections. And I was starting to get migraines by the end of it. I wasn't able to stare at a computer screen. And it was not ideal. Luckily, my teachers at that time were very accommodating because that's not always the case.
Well, the thing about children's is that they provide not just the medical expertise, but they also give you that emotional support. So when you're going through something like that, it's difficult for you, but at least you have somebody to turn to, ask for advice, call and ask you can ask them questions. They're always there for you. They're a part truly of your family.
Mm-hmm. And they treat mind and body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's especially with my CF clinic. That's 100% the case. I've been with them since I was 6 months old. I have a connection with them, and I'm going to be very sad when I have to move on to adult clinic. And even with my pain clinic doctor, she's one of the closest people that I'm with at Children's. She has been there and showed me a lot. She even wrote my college recommendation letter for college.
And what are you studying?
I am a double major in psychology and neuroscience pre-medicine.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Being a frequent flyer at Children's Hospital and making that drive from Appleton, can you describe what goes through your mind? It must be a feeling like I'm going somewhere where I'm going to feel better after I've been there.
Yeah, especially when it's my injection appointments. I know that I'm anticipating that day. I drive and it's like my therapy for me. Just going there.
Right.
And like I actually was just on campus on a couple weeks ago for my injections, and I drove 4.5 hours from my college just to go to Milwaukee Clinic.
Wow. But you know what?
It says a lot.
It does say a lot. I think people all over the world bring their children, or they themselves come to Children's because of the stellar care. You can't find that kind of care anywhere. Jadyn, why is it important that people who are listening to this donate money to Children's?
For stories like me, there's so much research involved at Children's. There's so much that the people that work there contribute to people like me to just increase the quality of care, the quality of life. And it's so important. I have been in numerous research studies and I know the impact of it. I was even in the research study that helped develop one of the medications that I'm taking right now.
Wow. That's an amazing story. That's incredible.
And at 19, you're an adult. You've probably been an adult for some time.
Yeah.
And Children's, like we were talking about earlier, since you've been with them, you said you're going to eventually have to kind of work your way out into an adult clinic, but you're still there. You're 19. You're still going.
Yes, that I'm very thankful for that, especially in college right now. It's kind of the grounding point. It keeps me grounded a little bit. I know when I turn 21, I'm going to have to switch over, but I'm very thankful I'm able to stay for now, at least.
But we need you to be able to finish school so you can go on and go to medical school and do all those great things. So,
Jadyn, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And we hope your story inspired some folks out there. I'm sure it did. Thank you.
Thank you.